Hello again. I'm here with another book review. This one is for Joe Hill's Strange Weather. This is 4 short novels. This came out, I believe, in October. I believe this came out. The 4 novellas are, let's see if I have a list here of them. Snapshot is the first one. And then there is Loaded, Aloft, and Rain. And I'm going to tell you right now, I really like this book. I'm going to give it a 4-star because I love Snapshot. Snapshot is a 5-star read for me. I really love that story. I liked Loaded also. That was another really good story. Aloft and Rain, I liked them, but not as much. They were kind of okay. Aloft was good. Rain, they both were actually good, but they just weren't as great as the first two. So to tell you about the 4 stories, the first one, which is Snapshot, is about this camera. Basically, it starts with an elderly woman. I don't want to tell you too much because they're short novellas, but it basically starts with an elderly woman who, looks like she has Alzheimer's, but she talks about this person who takes pictures of her. And I won't go any farther than that, but somebody gets involved from the community to help her out and finds out more about this Polaroid man. And it's a really good story. The only probably bad thing about it is it kind of suffers from kind of dragging on in the end, kind of like meandering near the end a little bit, kind of like Joe Hill's father does a little bit with some of his stories, right? Doesn't kind of end it, just kind of ends and ends and ends. But it's still a great story. And the second one is another really good story called Loaded, which is basically about guns in this country. It starts with a couple of stories about guns. Deals with this one person who has obviously anger management issues with his family, and guns play a critical role in the story and something that he does, and how our society. It's a really good story about how our society in general deals with guns, and how we kind of give glory to people with guns and stuff. It's actually a really good story. I really loved Loaded, which was the second story in this book. The third story in this book, if I can get to it here, was Adrift, I believe. Aloft, Aloft, which is kind of a weird story about a person who gets caught on a cloud. I really don't want to get too deep into it because it's a little weird of a story. Probably more sci-fi. Yeah, I don't know. It's more of like a Twilight Zone episode kind of story, I guess, than a real horror story, as the first two are kind of more socially relevant, I guess. The third story, it's just a little. It's not a bad story. It's just not as good as the first two, basically. The fourth story, Rain, another really interesting story about kind of taps into the environmental issues as well, and warfare, and as far as, I don't even want to say warfare. It deals with environmental issues. It deals with basically kind of how governments react to different governments, but it's basically about this new kind of rain that is basically kills people. I mean, I'm not really going to I don't want to get too detailed into this, but it's a very disastrous kind of rain that kind of starts to spread, and you follow this one person through the onset and how this disaster rain kind of keeps growing. And those are basically the 4 stories in Strange Weather. I would definitely, if you were a Joe Hill fan or a Stephen King fan, I would definitely pick up this book. I think it's a really good book. It's definitely is written in the style that you would be familiar with if you've read Joe Hill, if you've read Stephen King. It's a nice, easy to digest style. The stories are nice and short. In fact, Joe mentions, I think in the afterword here, he talks about how it was so nice to write some short stories because you just have to get right into it, and or short novellas, excuse me. You have to just kind of get into it. And since he wrote a couple of big novels before this, it was kind of nice for him to actually be constrained a bit and have to, not meander too much and just get right to the story. And it shows. It shows that these stories are all very well written, and I'm very happy I picked up this book. Like I said, I'm only giving it 4 stars. I would have given it a 5-star, but I didn't really like the. Not I didn't like the other 2 stories, but the other 2 stories were not 5-star reads. So maybe even like a 4.25 or 4.5. But it is a very good book. Joe Hill's Strange Weather, 4 short novels. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon.